Hey guys, today I want to show you how to take out the background in an image. You might do this for a couple reasons, but maybe instead of this dog being behind a green background, I want it to be pink or something like that. There are seriously 100 different ways to do this, so I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the most popular ways to do it. So the first and most obvious would be your eraser. So if I click this button right here, this is my eraser tool. There's a couple different ways. Oh, okay, so first I should be on the layer. A couple different ways to do this. You can see now that it's pretty big and it's kind of soft. I maybe want it hard, it's kind of up to you. I like to keep it soft whenever it gets closer to the actual subject, because if I zoom in here and I have hard, it kind of looks a little aggressive. I don't know, like that just doesn't look right. So if I undo that and I kind of zoom in and make it softer around the edges, it kind of looks a little better. I might want to make it a little bit smaller too to go along that. Yeah. It is always hard to do a dog because it's really hard to capture those little hairs there. But, technically this is a way that you can get rid of the background. Is it the easiest way? Definitely not, but you can do it. And there will be some instances where it's the best solution. So, okay, I kind of like to go around the object first because it's really easy to take out the rest of the background from there because you can just make your brush bigger. Whenever I do this, I kind of like to use the hard. So you can see that I've already got like a big chunk of it gone. I'm not going to continue to do the whole thing, but I hope you understand from here this is kind of the way that you would do it. So I'm going to continue to go back. I'm just hitting Command Z to go back, by the way. Okay, so eraser tool, we all understand that. The next tool I'm going to tell you about is the marquee tool. So this is rectangular marquee. This is literally kind of just like your selection tool. So like if I just wanted to select the eyeball, I could do it that way. But if you just kind of come in and select different spots here, if you hit your delete or like backspace key, you're just kind of cutting chunks out. Because we're in a rectangle, obviously that's kind of all we can do here, but you can go in and choose like the circular one and you can take out that in different pieces that way. Again, this isn't going to work for every individual space in here, but sometimes it's better to use this to take out like really big chunks. If you don't want to go in with your eraser tool and like cut all of those out, it's really easy to cut out like a big chunk like that. Am I getting rid of the background? Technically, yes, but this would, again, take me forever and not really work whenever you come closer up to the dog. So Command Z, I'm going to backspace all of that. Okay, so the next one I'm going to show you how to do is the lasso tool. So this is pretty similar to the marquee tool, but this you're kind of going in and selecting, what you want. So I can kind of just go in and make like a funky shape and that will be selected. Obviously I don't want to do that, but if you zoom in, you can actually come right up close to this ear and do that. Now the problem with this tool is that it's really, really hard to be perfect. You can already see what I've selected. If you zoom in, I kind of cut like a really little bit of the ear out. I cut a chunk out. Another issue with it is it's really harsh. I don't know that that would be as harsh there. If I cut it out, I think it would be a little bit softer along the edges. So you kind of want to watch out for that. But it is easy to cut out really big chunks. So if I'm coming down along these edges and I kind of wanted to go I can like technically come in and really cut all of this out, but like I said, you're going to want to be a little softer along the edges, so I don't recommend using this for the whole thing, but if you want to cut out really big chunks, boom, look how easy that was. I'm also just using the pad that's on my computer. If you have an actual mouse, that's going to be way easier. I apologize, I'm on my computer and I'm getting text messages right now, so. Okay. So there you go, that's your lasso tool. So next I'm going to show you the magic wand tool. This tool is designed to pick up similar colors that are next to each other. So for example, if I touch this part of the dog, it's going to select that. And yes, it's the same color, but it's kind of a different tone. It's like a really lighter brown because the sun's hitting it. So it's selecting that. If I come in this dark part, you can see that it's, you know, kind of leaving out parts that are different colors. So in this case, it will pick up a lot of the color, but there's green, and there's splotches of white, there's different shades of green, there's kind of like a brown here. It'll pick them up like that, but it'll also do this little funky thing where it leaves like a couple lines because it didn't consider that the same color. So in some instances where you have flat color, it's just big green in the background, this is your tool to use. It's so easy. But in other instances, you're going to have some issues with spots left, and it might be a lot of extra work. The quick selection tool is probably one of my favorites. I think that it's going to be the best in this scenario, and I'll explain why. So pretty much you want to pick up, whenever you're on this one, this is just like you're getting started here. This I'm adding to that selection. You can see that I kind of went through and dragged it along and picked up the ear, and I don't want that. So I can kind of take out that selection. You know, you can zoom in if you have to, if there's other parts that you want to leave out, like maybe I want to kind of go in a little bit. Boom. One thing I like about this is it usually makes it pretty soft. Right now it looks very strange, so I don't like those lines that it left. I'm actually going to make another video talking a little bit more about that and how to fix that, but for now, you know that it took out the background that we needed it to, and that's great. So I can come in and do that again with this side. Okay, whoops, I didn't want that. I'm gonna click away. Come back in and get the rest of this. Another thing that it does is it leaves like lines sometimes. Like there's just like a little spot right here that I don't love, so I'm going to do that. You can see that in here there's a little bit of green, so I can try to do that as well. That's a little bigger than I need it to be, so we're going to boom, boom. You can always use more than one thing, by the way. You don't have to just say, oh, I'm doing the quick selection tool, I'm going to stick to that. This is where I can use the magic wand tool, even my eraser, anything like that. Okay, so this is what I have from using that tool. Is this what I wanted? It is what I wanted, but I would have to do some extra editing. So, like I said, I'm going to come in and try to fix that. I just want to show you all the possibilities, which there are so many. Okay, so this next one I'm going to show you is a little bit confusing, so you have to bear with me. But what I'm going to do for this is use what is called the mask tool. So if I click this and I click on the paintbrush here, which my paintbrush is huge, and you also have to pay attention to your opacity. So the opacity on the paintbrush right now is 34%. I don't want that, I want 100%. Anything that I'm painting on here, I'm going to use my hard one here, is being selected. Actually, anything that I'm painting on, the opposite is being selected. I'll explain that in a minute. So, just so I can show you what this is, I'm just kind of painting here. You can see my paintbrush is like huge, which is why I'm leaving big parts of it out. I don't want to accidentally cut out my dog. It's way easier to leave more in the background because once you get rid of parts of the dog, it's kind of hard to get it back. You can always take away. Okay, so we're just going to do, this is good enough for now. So once I click off of this mask, it looks like I have that selected, but I actually have the opposite. I have the dog selected. So if I were to hit backspace, I would cut him out, and we don't want to do that. So I'm going to go under select, and I'm going to select the inverse, and you can see the lines coming around the outside here. So now, boom. I like this one a lot because it does look softer too. Again, I would really have to go in and take that out. So like what might be a really good option is to try to get rid of like as much of this space as possible. Any way that's like easiest for you and quickest for you. And then go in with this mask tool and then use the paintbrush and try to get all the rest. And, you know, coming in really close is going to be, this is going to be one of your better tools to do that. The last ones I have to show you here. If you go under your lasso tool, there's two options here. We have our polygonal lasso tool and the magnetic one. So the polygonal tool is essentially like using the rectangular marquee tool, but it's not just a rectangle. It can be a funky shape, but it is straight lines and edges. So one thing that I advise, if you start using this and you decide like, oh crap, I don't want to use this anymore, it's like literally impossible to get out of. You kind of have to just finish it. So I'm going to show you, I can do kind of like a triangle here. Once you kind of are making points, so you click. I'm going to go over here and click, and I'm just going to come down here and click. And then once I get to my starting point, you can see that there's a little circle, and that means that you're ending it. So boom. And now that is selected, and I can delete that. But it's going to be kind of hard for me to go around and do all of this because there are some curves. It's not just all lines. And as you can see, I clicked over here, and I really have no way out of this once you click. So you kind of have to make a shape and then close it. And then if you don't want that anymore, you can just click off of it or go, up here and deselect. So anyways, that's your polygonal tool. It would not work in this image, but it would work in some other instances. The last thing I'm going to show you, it's pretty great. It's the magnetic lasso tool. Similar to the polygon one, you can't really stop once you've started unless you close the shape. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off right here by clicking. From here, I'm kind of going along the edges. And you can see, like, I'm actually not clicking anything. If there's something that you don't think it's going to pick up, I'm going to click, and then I can make my own point. It is smart, though, so you usually don't have to do that, but I click every now and again to make sure that it's picking up a spot that I'm not sure it's going to. Okay, so I'm down here. I do want to close off my shape, so I want to come like down along this line here. Ooh. It's doing some funky things, so this is not perfect, but okay, this is where I'm going to close it. But keep in mind, I have the dog selected, so again, you're going to select inverse, delete. This isn't really the worst. It did some like weird things up there, and I don't love what it did down here, but one, you could always come in and like crop this. You can always kind of use your eraser, where you at, eraser, to fix like little things like this. Whatever. I think it'll make the difference when you go in on background and you change the color, like I said, pink. I'm going to use my boom. So you can kind of tell where it looks funky and where it doesn't, and kind of fix it from there. But I hope this was helpful. If you have something, again, like with one plain background like this, doing the magic wand tool is always going to be the easiest for you. So